Welcome back to Rolando Estacado. My name is Rolando, and for today's episode, we have something very special. It was suggested by a subscriber of ours. His name is Guido, and he was very impassioned about a specific brand, the Wingard wearables brand. I've already done an unboxing episode of their Empress Tomahawk, and today we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into the Empress Tomahawk. So I've had some conversations with Zach about the Tomahawk itself. There's quite a bit of material on their YouTube channel for you to take a look at in terms of the design of this. I'm going to refer you to some of that because I think that's good reference material. So I want you to take a look at Zach's YouTube channel as reference material because I don't want there to be any redundancies. I want to share with you my observations and some of the insights I have with the use of this specific tool. So this is the length of the Empress Tomahawk, and the Empress Tomahawk is basically a replica of some of the Native American tools and weaponry that Zach has been studying and has basically been the focus of his entire company. And I really commend him for this because I think it's a subject that is worthy of study. I think Native American warfare, martial arts is something that needs to be explored more, and we can only get better by exploring their more traditional designs. So I have pointed out that what we are looking at here is a silicon bronze head attached to, epoxied to, a hickory handle. And one of the things I want you to notice about the hickory handle is that it does flare outward from the top all the way to the bottom, so that it does have this really nice swell to it. And I gotta tell you, this feels really light. The reason for it, as mentioned in my unboxing episode, is the fact that the only part that is made of metal in any way is that silicone bronze head. The rest of it is made of wood. Unlike the other Tomahawks that I have reviewed in past episodes where it is full tank construction, what you're looking at here is a very traditional Tomahawk in the tradition of Native American weapons. So it is very light, and you can actually expect it to, once it goes past this neutral point, to start to move. That's what you can expect it to do. You have a triangular megalodon shark tooth shape here, which is really good based off of Zach's testing on penetration and extraction, which seems to be a problem with basic Tomahawk and hatchet models because once it penetrates the target, it tends to get stuck. And some of the modern iterations of it was there to try to resolve that issue. So it's sharp at the bottom, really penetrative at the tip, and blunt at the top, so really good for punching aspects. What's key here for me is this hook. So sharp, pointy, blunt on this side, flat, and then this hook here, very obvious that the hooking capabilities come down this way just because of the shape of it. But it was also ergonomically designed so that it also curves so that it adheres as a good EDC, meaning when I carry it on my hip on this side, this hook actually hugs my waist, which I think from an ergonomic EDC standpoint, they are Wingard wearables. The idea is that this is a wearable Tomahawk, and on their website they talk about being able to wear it with cargo pants, cargo shorts, and your swim trunks because the treatment that they have put, boiled linseed oil treatment that they have put on the hickory handle, makes it waterproof. The one thing though is this very aggressive puño. It has a really nice tip to it, so it has penetrating capabilities. It has this bridge on the handle, so when I go into this grip, a little more largo, long range methodologies, it actually keeps it nice and secure. So Rolando, what's so special about it? Well, these are my insights, and I don't know if this is something that Zach had thought of, but I have some insights into this that makes this a very special piece of martial weaponry, and it may not be for the reasons that Zach had initially thought. So, there are two things that stood out when I first got this. Number one, this sharpened puño. So this sharpened puño means that it has penetrating capabilities. I think Zach knew that. But the one that really stood out is this back hook. So as you can see, this back hook curves down so that if you're hooking in any way along the horizontal and vertical lines and even diagonal lines, it will hook. But there's a secondary hook. If I point the tomahawk this way, there's another hook. It hooks in this angle. Now, upon seeing this, I had to test it myself. Not only does the tomahawk hook in a conventional manner this way, it will in fact act as a secondary offensive tool just in case you happen to miss with the tip. So a good example is if I come around this way and I happen to just graze the target with the tip, I can actually hook with this part of the tomahawk. That's when I started to really think of its actual capabilities, because with this sharpened puño and the fact that this back spike here is more multidimensional than I had initially thought, as much as this lends itself to a lot of FMA methodologies, I can definitely see it from a largo perspective, so a calis illustrissimo perspective. I can definitely see it that way. I can see some serrata close quarters. I can even see some doce pares. But there is one methodology that I really think that this was geared for. It's Zulu stick fighting. Zulu stick fighting was something that I was exposed to when I would take private workshops with the foremost Zulu stick fighting expert in the United States, and that's Sifu Burton Richardson. He is a senior full instructor in Jeet Kune Do, and I had the honor and privilege of training with him around 2007, 2008 for several years in a row and in private settings. And one of the things that he exposed me to was the Zulu stick fighting method. And this is something that I can't wait to share with you because I think it lends really well to it. So the Zulu stick fighting method doesn't start like this. There are two basic ways to grip it. One is above the head, but the one happens to be my favorite, where the tip itself, the puño, comes forward. So this coming forward is a way of faking and feinting, but they have a kind of strike because there's a shield right in front of it. So if you can imagine that this trainer here happens to be the Zulu shield, the whole idea is that I apply pressure and fakes with the shield, and then I can come in around the shield, either one side or to the other side, the whole time faking with the puño. So a lot of the attacks are square shouldered, fake with the shield, hit with the puño, fake with the shield, come around to this side, fake to the shield, come around to this side. And each time, as much as this part of the tomahawk likes to hit, what actually does a lot of the damage in a way that's innovative, creative, and utterly deceptive is this very unique back hook that hooks downwards, inwardly, so that you have an opportunity to not just hook in this way, but also this way. Really multi-dimensional tool, and I can't wait to share it with you. Thank you for letting me share this video with you. I really hope you enjoy it. The impressive Wingard Empress Tomahawk has many outstanding and innovative features, and as mentioned earlier, that back hook is really amazing. However, what makes it really stand out is that inward curve, which is initially designed for ease of EDC use as it curves around the waist. However, in the estocado method, I'm going to use it as an innovative feature of some of the amazing attacks. So that inward curve actually all but disappears when I use that front spike megalodon tooth for Wittig attacks. It is designed for ease of insertion and extraction, so when I use these type of Wittig attacks that are really short, it actually stands out. Let's take a look at the other feature, which is the puño, also that back spike, and then that front spike. So you have these 3 points of attack. So I'm going to use it in this lead shoulder dynamic where the shoulder leads. That is really standard in FMA, but I'm going to use it in that Zulu method, which I had been mentioning earlier, where the left shoulder actually leads. And now that front spike serves as a threat from the rear, and now it actually covers the movements of the back tomahawk. So you can never really see where it's going to come from because that front spike is a threat. You don't know if it's going to come from a Zulu back cut or an overhead strike because from this position, you can't really tell. This is a posture that is found in Felicissimo Dizon's doblete curriculum. Left lead forward and the puño is in front. So now it disguises a lot of the attacks. So what you're going to see here is that Zulu back cut has a straight arm, covers a lot of real estate and covers a lot of that reactionary gap. This is very different from a buoy back cut because that arm is straight. So what you're going to see here is some of the close quarter capabilities of that back hook. So you can see how I can do this twist that then leads into a torso attack. One of the amazing features of the Empress Tomahawk is this ability to twist and use that inverted hook to capture the limb. A lot of these techniques that you're seeing are very basic, so that if you get an Empress Tomahawk and you don't have an FMA background, it's a really effective tool. Now let's use that Zulu stick fighting method where I can use those fakes and feints, and then from this position you will see this tall standing posture with the rocking back and forth actually sets up the puño really well as an initial strike. So I can cover that reactionary gap really well with an overhead puño. But that overhead puño is really a setup for a lot of other attacks that are really devastating. One of them is an overhead angle number 2. So it goes overhead and sinks into the soft target from long range. But should I decide to go and use that exact technique in a short range manner, that's when that inverted hook actually comes into play. This is the most innovative aspect of the entire Empress Tomahawk design, because that inverted hook allows me to go ahead and skim over the target, but there's a trailing hook that actually sinks right in. So let's take a look at the Zulu stick fighting back cut. That's my term. So I actually use it to have my arm straight. So my arm is straight here so that it goes completely around the other person's weapon. Then it turns. This is very different from the buoy back cut because here the arm is bent as the elbow goes up. I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison here so that you can see. So there is a very clear difference in biomechanics. So as I turn the Empress Tomahawk over, that back spike actually comes into a lot of play. So once we are here setting up in long range, you can see that Zulu back cut comes in and gets into that soft tissue on the upper line, and it will also do the exact same thing as I set it up so that when I throw the Zulu back cut, it can go into that upper line, and then it can also go ahead and go into the lower line. When we go into the lower line, there's a lot of amazing things that can happen. We can control the arm, get that overhook, and once I get that overhook, after I do a half beat soft target jab, I can wrap my arm around, and once I wrap my arm around, I can hook on the upper line and control the opponent on that very innovative back hook that actually inverts towards the torso. So I can take care of the soft target on the upper line and the lower line. I can't say enough good things about that back hook design, because what it does is that it allows me to use these with ticks, but then when I use the Zulu stick fighting method, it allows me to do these skimming attacks. This is a very different one though. This is an upline attack where I fake high, and once I fake high, I go ahead and sink that back hook in. But again, that's a skimming attack where we can expect the megalodon tooth to actually skim off the head. So what we're going to do is some of these uplines, and then we're going to do the overhead. So I fake high, and once I fake high, I close the gap, and once I close the gap, I get that hook into the soft target. So these Whittick attacks are what you're going to see in these lead shoulder dynamics when you see the fakes from FMA. But when you do the Zulu stick fighting method, you're going to expect that right shoulder to be in the back. So you can see some of the standard tomahawk movements that you've seen me do before, but with that Zulu stick fighting method, it's a whole other ball game. It's something that I really enjoy using with the Empress Tomahawk. So as you can see, I use a lot of that back hook in the back, that kind of curved back spike as I like to call it. So it's something that I really enjoy, and this is something from Joni Cañete's Doce Pares. It's his favorite attack where he back hooks, hooks up, and then comes in. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around, stay tuned, more videos to come.